Well, let me clarify, because some of you have been asking to clarify what is going on in the grooming gang scandal with the inquiry, of course. It looks like it's falling apart. So here's what's happening. 5 survivors have told the Prime Minister that they will only stay in the grooming gangs inquiry if Jess Phillips, the Minister for Safeguarding, remains in post. At the same time, another victim has resigned from the inquiry. So you've got, just to make this super simple, 5 victims are saying they will only stay in the inquiry if Jess Phillips remains, and another 5 are saying, I've quit, and saying she needs to go. That is the sort of the way to summarise it, I guess. And of course, it comes as Sir Keir Starmer stands by the Safeguarding Minister, Jess Phillips, despite growing calls for her resignation, not just from the public, not just from victims, but from even, we hear, backbenchers. Now, speaking at Peacehaven Mosque, the Prime Minister insisted the investigation will go wherever it needs to go. Joining me now is CEO of Freedom from Abuse, Marilyn Hawes. Marilyn, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
This is a never-ending problem, a political nightmare, isn't it? And I feel desperately sorry for the victims because they are caught yet again in the middle of a political thunderstorm. Of course, over the last few days alone, we have seen 5 victims quit the inquiry. 4 of them announced a huge, I guess a raft of demands of the inquiry last night. One of them being whether that Jess Phillips should resign if they want them to come back onto the inquiry. What do you think? Should Jess Phillips, the Safeguarding Minister, resign from the inquiry?
Well, yes, she should, because if you go right back to the start of this, when it was a question of are we going to have it or aren't we going to have it, nobody wanted to have this inquiry that was so desperate. It was clearly obvious across police and social workers and council and mayors and goodness knows what else. There had been an almighty cover-up in the so-called protection of racial harmony. Well, meanwhile, these now adults, but then children, were turning up at police stations, bruised, bleeding, crying, being told that they were basically child prostitutes, they weren't believed, they shouldn't be out on the streets at night, etc., etc. So if you look in the mind and walk for 5 seconds in the shoes of a victim, why are they going to trust the government? Because it is the government that covered up. Now, Jess Phillips at the start, she wouldn't come out and say, I'm sorry, but this has to go ahead.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
So you've got to think these these kids were raped on an industrial scale. They were drugged. They were told this was a life choice. Now, these victims are now going to be completely re-traumatized. Even if everything was going clear to plan, they would be, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to tell it all over again. So I think it's a great shame Jim Gamble stepped down, but he had the integrity and thought, well, I only want to do it if I've got the joint feeling of the victims. Well, that in itself is difficult because everyone's got their own sensitivities. Everyone's got their own story. Some people will be in different places with their trauma or their healing. Some may be more resilient. Has Starmer got off his backside and gone to ask them, who would they choose? Who would they like? I'll do it. They don't find anyone else. I can do it. I'd be happy to do it with Maggie Oliver. Why haven't they chosen Maggie Oliver? Now, there's the thing. Because she knows the truth. She will know what stones to turn over, what carpets to look under. Maggie Oliver, they would trust. But she doesn't come up on the list, does she? Oh, no. Why don't they use child abuse lawyers or barristers? Why don't they use those? Yeah? Well, they don't because they won't. The lawyers have said, haven't they? And some of the judges, oh, well, we might be tainted by this. Well, I don't think that's ethical. If you are in the area of justice, then you should be putting your neck on the line. And this isn't about Starmer, whether he thinks that Jess Phillips is okay. We've heard this before, haven't we? Oh, we had so much hope and everything in Mandelson. Look where that ended up. It's not about him. He hasn't been raped as a little boy, has he? Stand in their shoes and have some empathy. And I'm right on side with them because I deal with victims every day of my life and people just disregard them. And if you want this to have, and these people to come out the other side, then everyone without fear or favour has to be named, shamed, put in a court and banged up, even if you had to build another prison. We've had enough of this. And Starmer needs to have a reality check on what comes out of his mouth, quite frankly.
Marilyn, there's many people saying that Labour is not capable of marking its own homework. And of course, some victims, not all, but some victims are saying that actually because of the Labour Party's time in office during where they would argue the scandal was at its height, there are too many links inside the Labour Party for this inquiry to go smoothly. Of course, the Labour Party are denying that. Shabana Mahmood is denying that. The Prime Minister is saying this will go wherever it needs to. Jess Phillips is saying this will go wherever it needs to. Do you think victims are feeling reassured that this inquiry is going to go into all the nooks and crannies that it needs to?
No, absolutely not, until they have a sweep clean. Let's go back to Jimmy Savile, shall we? Starmer ignored a lot of those cases, a lot of those victims and reports that came in when he was in charge of Crown prosecution. Why are these women going to believe that? I wouldn't trust any of them. For me, the only person I would honestly trust would be Maggie Oliver, and I'd be very happy to get involved myself because she knows the truth. I know the truth. I've known for 25 years that it's been these, Asian gangs and Muslim gangs. You've got to eradicate it. You've got to deport people. You've got to get a spine. And where's the human rights lawyers for us, may I ask? And Jess Phillips goes on about, she's the safeguard of violence against women and girls. Lots of words, lots of verbal stuff comes out of her mouth. I can't honestly say that in her time, as she's been fighting this for violence against women and girls, but also what about violence against men? I always think they're ignored. But you know what? What has she actually achieved? Women are still getting raped all over the place, even more than ever. So what difference has she made? She has to go.
Marilyn,
she's not effective.
I would love to see you and Maggie Oliver do the inquiry. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. I think Maggie Oliver is an absolutely exceptional woman. I can't believe she hasn't had a peerage or some sort of knighthood yet. And for yourself as well, Marilyn.
She won't have it. She won't. I won't be asked. She won't be asked because.
Well, I hope one day you will be. I hold out hope, Marilyn, you will be, and I will do my best to help campaign for that to happen. I'm sure you will get that, and it will be very well deserved when you do.
Gloves up, I'm telling you. Nobody.
Yeah, well, you just keep on, Marilyn. You just keep on fighting the good fight, and listen, come back on the show as soon as you can, please. CEO, Freedom from Abuse there, Marilyn Hawes, as brilliant as ever. Thank you.